Welcome to Armchair Expert, Experts on Expert. I'm Dan Shepard. I'm joined by Lily Padman.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
One of the most impressive authors we're ever going to interview is today Pulitzer Prize winner Siddhartha Mukherjee, who wrote the most beautiful book called The Emperor of All Maladies, a biography of cancer and the gene, an intimate history of cancer research. Improbably beautiful book.
An incredible book.
I mean, really like a once in a lifetime. I couldn't believe what I was reading.
And comes up all the time as like one of the best books on cancer, science books. Books.
By the way, so he's incredible, Siddhartha. He's also a oncologist. He's a doctor. He's a researcher. He's every single thing.
Yes.
Rhodes Scholar.
Uni.
He did it all. And then a beautiful writer. What was mind-blowing, we didn't talk about this in the fact check.
Uh-oh, what?
The most impressive thing I found about him is how many fucking books he's read and how much he can remember. Okay, so he goes by Sid, by the way. Sid Mukherjee has a new book out called The Song of the Cell, an exploration of medicine and the new human. It's proposed he's going to write 4 books, basically, on living. And this is the third of those books. And it, too, is extraordinarily beautiful and well-written. And so I hope you both read The Song of the Cell and enjoy Siddhartha Mukherjee. We get support from Quince.
So we've been talking about Quince a lot lately, and as we head into fall, it's the perfect time to reset your wardrobe with their amazing pieces. I think it's so fun to do when the seasons turn over to just spruce up your wardrobe with a couple specials, and Quince is the place.
Totally. We're talking organic cotton, Mongolian cashmere, tailored chinos from just $60. Premium fit and quality you'd expect from a luxury brand designer. I love Quince. You know, I like it understated and subtle, and I like stuff that has high quality. And Quince checks all those boxes.
I love a lot of stuff from Quince. Honestly, they have incredible premium denim, which is very important for fall. It's pretty much all I wear in the fall is denim. And Quince has such a good selection of quality denim. Their stuff is so versatile, timeless, and built to last that you just grab every single day without thinking.
Right. And all of that for 50 to 80% less than similar brands. They go direct to ethical factories, cut out the middlemen, so you get all that quality without overpaying for it.
We love that. And they do way more than clothes. They have bedding, cookware, bath essentials, travel must-haves, same deal, and great quality.
Upgrade your everyday. Download the Quince app for app-exclusive offers or go to quince.com/Dax. Get free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada and the UK too. That's QUINCE.com/Dax. We get support from Apple Gift Card. Back to school is here, and for many, that means some big life transitions. Whether they are heading into a new grade or setting up a dorm for the first time, you want to give them something that actually supports their growth and success. Apple Gift Card is a versatile solution because it takes the guesswork out of gifting. It's not just about a new pair of AirPods for focus. It's about giving them the invaluable chance to choose the digital tools and subscriptions that suit their unique journey. They can use it for productivity apps on the App Store, movie nights on Apple TV, or extra iCloud storage for all those new memories. With Apple Gift Card, it's so empowering to give the students their freedom to allocate their own resources. Celebrate their new academic chapter. Visit applegiftcard.apple.com to celebrate their milestones and gift one today.
He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert.
Tell me, can you hear us?
I can hear you through my headphones, yes?
Oh my gosh. Okay, now we're ready to party. This is Monica Padman.
Hello.
Her family's from Kerala.
Okay, where I'm going very soon.
Oh, you are?
What will you do there?
I'm doing the Kerala Literary Festival, but I've been to Kerala many times. It's a big favorite of mine because I love the food and I love the backwaters and I love being there. So the kids have been even.
I have been, but I was 4, so I have very little memory.
I've heard, too, that ecstasy and psychedelics are widely available there. Do you want to comment on that? Deny it? Confirm it?
I haven't tried them there, but if they were, then, you know.
Okay, first and foremost, you mentioned in the setup of this recording equipment that you do not own a TV. And that might be the most important thing we'll talk about today. Do you not find that you're left out of a ton of social conversations? Like when people are talking about Game of Thrones or Making a Murderer or any of these zeitgeist shows, are you completely out?
First of all, I don't know how to spell zeitgeist. And secondly, I'm actually happy to be out of that zeitgeist. I do read the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal with great fidelity. I get enough of my news out of those than I need to. And I'm not 100% sure I need to know every single character in the Game of Thrones.
What about movies? Do you go see any movies?
I do see movies. I love seeing movies. I'm a big movie fan. But nowadays, I see most of them on Netflix.
Okay, now I'm very confused. So now you have Netflix.
Do you have it on an iPad or something?
I have it on my computer.
Oh, okay. So you can watch stuff on the computer if necessary.
So, for instance, do you think I missed the Serena Williams match? No.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Good.
So, do you think I missed Federer's last match? No.
Okay, there's a niche that we're hearing.
Yeah.
You watch only tennis.
Tennis is not the only example. I mean, do you think I missed 1/200th of the various things that happened during the Queen's funeral? No, I watched 10 minutes of it.
That's more than we watch.
But I didn't watch it on television. I watched it on my computer.
Okay, I feel much safer now. Now we can proceed. You do have a portal. I just needed to know that if you needed or wanted to, that you had the portal to do it.
Can I say something crazy?
Yes.
I wonder if you've ever heard it. This is nuts, but this is what we do here. Has anyone ever said you have a Bradley Cooper vibe?
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, now we're getting somewhere.
I wasn't expecting it, but I feel it.
For a long time, which is totally inexplicable to me, people have said I have a Jeff Goldblum vibe.
I'm one of those people, but let's be very clear about it. You don't have a Jeff Goldblum vibe.
Good, thank you.
You don't look anything like him. What you have, and I have said this on this podcast when bragging about having met you, was I was at a conference up in Montana that you were at, and I was absolutely intrigued by you. I did not know yet that you were Sid. I had read your book, but I don't know what the author of Emperor of All Maladies looks like. And I'm just clocking that there's a scientist at this event who's got a leather jacket, wild fucking Elvis hair, a cool beard, a total vibe. And I was saying to my wife, the scientist from Jurassic Park is here. Like there's a rock star scientist at this event. Truly. And I even said to Adam Grant, who introduced us, I said, who is the rock star scientist at this event?
Yeah.
That's what people mean. Not that you physically look like him.
Oh, that I breed dinosaurs in my incubator, basically. That's the point.
No, the point is that you are a punk rock scientist.
I'm going to embrace that.
You should. You should.
And now you have Bradley Cooper to add to the mix.
I've doubled down now.
If this thing goes 2 hours, we'll be calling you Brad Pitt. Okay, so you leave India and you go first to Stanford, and then you are a Rhodes Scholar at Oxford and you get your PhD, and then you go to Harvard and get your medical degree. My first curiosity is, what is the cultural leap from New Delhi to Stanford? Is it an easy transition for you? Does it feel natural, or is it like, whoa? Because you not just went to an American university, you went to probably the most eclectic one of the group.
Right. So I just have to push you back in time to 1989. There are no cell phones. There's barely email. There's only landlines. And I come to Stanford, which is lovely, except I'm out of touch with everyone, including my entire family, who think I've gone to the dead because I don't have a landline set up. I don't have any way of contacting them. And so my mother, after 4 days in a cold panic, she calls the international office. She says, I have no news of my son. He's supposedly at Stanford, but I have no idea. And the guy is like lanky, lots of hair, and looks usually as if he's lost on campus. Did I get this right? And my mom says, yes. And the guy says, he's here.
I'm looking at him now. He seems to be lost, but he's heading in the right direction. Okay, you bounce around culturally to go from the Bay Area of California to then shoot over to England in the most historic college in some kind of tie with Harvard, I guess. Are you feeling like an outsider observing all these places? Or are you getting infected by them?
I didn't ever feel like an outsider. I just did my work. I landed up at Stanford, and the next morning I was in my classes. I knocked on Paul Berg's door. Paul Berg was a preeminent scientist. He had won by then the Nobel Prize for discovering recombinant DNA, for basically an experiment that you would think is obvious, but is extraordinarily non-obvious in the 1980s, which is, can you take a piece of DNA from a lizard and another piece of DNA from a bacteria and stitch them together and put them back in the bacteria, and will the bacteria think, it's just code, I'm going to read the code? That was not possible. Paul found a method to take these two pieces and stitch them together into one single molecule. And that molecule was called recombinant DNA. So I think about a week or two when I was at Stanford, I went and knocked on his door and I said, listen, Paul, I didn't say listen, Paul. Paul's a very close friend now, so I can say this with some degree of temerity. But I went to Paul and I said, Dr. Berg, I'm very interested in this kind of work that you're doing. Can I be in your lab? And if I remember correctly, Paul said, okay, let me ask you 3 questions in biology. And I answered them. And he said, okay, you seem to know enough to be able to work in the lab. So I spent my 3 to 4 years at Stanford sort of immersed in that lab. I learned biology, biochemistry, immunology. I learned how to write about science. Then I was given a Rhodes Scholarship and went to work with Alan Townsend. And Alan was a very, very distinguished immunologist. And so I worked on virology and immunology there. So I don't think I felt like an insider or an outsider. I mean, the questions didn't occur to me. And in fact, to be totally honest, I don't even think that this kind of idea of insider, outsider existed in the same form that it does for our children. It emerged out of the 80s. It emerged out of a certain sense of reclaiming identity. What does it mean to be inside? Who's outside? I think it came out of that time, but I'm not sure it existed in that time in the same way.
I'm going to argue against that because I think we would agree, anthropologically speaking, we've had this strong sense of us and them since the beginning, since we've been a hominid. I think because you were in such a esoteric, finite amount of people that clearly you were the us. So in that way, I could imagine not feeling any us and them because you were already among the tiniest sliver of people who this topic fascinates.
Fair enough. The only thing I would say is I do think that much of what we understand today about identity and its importance and how much it shapes us, et cetera, were debates that were beginning or questions that were beginning to simmer more acutely in the 80s. And both Stanford and Oxford happened to be near towns where these questions of identity became very important. Stanford being near San Francisco, where, again, to remind ourselves, medically speaking, it was in the mid of the AIDS rampage. And Oxford being near London, where, the question of who you are, whether you're Indian, particularly Bangladeshi, African migrated to London, were also questions that were beginning to sort of resonate through that, from which came books like Zadie Smith's White Teeth and Monica Ali's Brick Lane. So both these places were proximal to questions of identity, but they were, 50 miles from them. In some sense, you could watch from a distance. And maybe that's what I meant. It was there, I could sense it, but it wasn't the chief place in my brain.
Yeah, wow, the AIDS thing is really, really unique in that you'd have to take away from that identity was an enormous component in just how the country responded to what was a very brutal illness. And any other brutal illness of that caliber would have been rallied around and fought against. And yet, because it only seemed to affect a certain group of people, the response was very different than the response of other previous diseases.
Yes, absolutely. And Randy Schilt's book, And the Band Played On, details how much of AIDS was ignored by sort of mainstream medicine until people with AIDS started clamoring around it. And then subsequently, Larry Kramer wrote about it and others have written about it. But what no one had done before is what Schiltz did. So One question when you write a book is, how do you organize a book? Do you organize it chronologically? Is it a series of personalities? Is it a series of short stories that mingle with each other? Is there some more sort of modern or even postmodern way of organizing a book? Schiltz's book was organized as a kind of play-by-play. So the chapter would begin April 21st, 1982, 7 p.m. And then he would tell you a little story about what happened at 7 p.m. And it was so thrilling to read. It reads like a thriller. It's like a police timeline. And that's how he brought people into it. He was like, this is what didn't happen. Here was a meeting that could have happened, and maybe someone discussed the fact that there was an immunological collapse going on among certain men and people who had blood transfusions, and they moved on. And it was not until many things happened that you ultimately got the response that was needed for what became a pandemic.
We're living through one right now, actually. Like, as you're talking about it, it makes me think of the crack epidemic of the 80s and 90s. In the response, it was criminality, it was a moral shortcoming. And now the opioid epidemic is an epidemic. Even that word, it's an epidemic. It's a health crisis. Now that it's killing white kids, now the whole lens of addiction has shifted. It's kind of similar.
Yes, very similar in some ways. Although, of course, the difference with the opioid epidemic is that it is now becoming clearer and clearer that it was incited by very particular forces that wanted to sell opioids as drugs. They paid off people. And let me tell you, as an oncologist, I feel the pain in the opposite direction, because opioids are very strong drugs and very useful drugs. And now I feel curtailed in my ability to prescribe them to patients who need them the most. But there's an equal and opposite crisis in the fact that I can't prescribe these absolutely essential drugs to people who really, really need them.
I've had a father and a stepfather, both died of cancer, your specialty. And yes, it seems that you have to declare, I'm going into hospice to get the full cart of help. But prior to that, they're not going to possibly prescribe you what the person might need to be comfortable. Is that accurate?
It's just that the bar has risen. It means filling out more forms. It means doing a lot more than we were doing, let's say 10 years or 20 years ago. And in order to become an oncologist, you first have to train in internal medicine. And one of my toughest patients that I had ever encountered was a frank opioid addict and would come into the hospital saying, I have a headache. Now, she would come to the emergency room and they would say, rate it between 1 and 10. And she would say 40.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This was 15, 20 years ago. In the end, she would leave the hospital with 5 or 6 or 7 Percocets. And then 5 days later, this pattern would recur. And I sent her to specialists. I hospitalized her to check. But there's no objective test for a headache. So because pain lacks an objective test, because there is no pain echocardiogram or pain CAT scan, I think the pharma companies that were particularly pernicious in this epidemic took advantage of that sort of hole and started asking doctors to prescribe opioids. And then obviously this escalated and became what it is today.
Yeah. Okay. In addition to being incredibly qualified in many ways, you have patients, you run a research lab, you're like incredibly literarily talented. Your book, the one that you won the Pulitzer for, The Emperor of All Maladies, A Biography of Cancer, is so impossibly beautifully written. I have a curiosity. Were you putting time into writing commensurate with all this time you were putting into learning about biology?
My life back then was split up and still is very split up. I do several things and I do them at the same time. I enjoy it. So today, for instance, I was in the lab all morning looking at gels and then looking at cells, 3-4 hours. Then I came back to my desk and I wrote a piece for a magazine. Then I will do this. Then I will go back and edit a paper that someone wrote that needs some extra work in it. I'll try to think of an experiment. And then I'll have dinner and spend some time with the kids and my wife. I don't structure my days around, it has to be 2 hours of writing, 3 hours of this. It's just very much sort of responding to what the needs are for that particular day.
I didn't ask the question correctly. I don't mean schedule-wise. I mean, did you write letters to people as a kid? Did you write short stories? I can't imagine that you thought, okay, I finally have all this information. I'm going to sit down and write Emperor of All Maladies, and that's how you wrote.
What I did do, and I always tell people this who ask about sort of writing, I read a lot. And I think you can't be a writer if you don't read. And when you read, you've got to read diversely. You can't say, I'm going to write a book about cancer in the manner of The Emperor of All Maladies and say, I'm only going to read science writing. You have to read diversely because people have very different ways of talking and thinking. And all of that comes into our idea of how to write a book. The fact that the book happens to be about the cosmos, Brian Greene's book about the universe, or Richard Rhodes' Making of the Atomic Bomb, or a great book of philosophy, all of it has to be read and digested. And that's what makes, I think, a good writer. It makes you able to write in a way that you couldn't write before.
But within that, you have a writer's voice. You seem to have found yours quite quickly. You have this weird layer of noir over what you write, in my opinion. There's this very romantic, like 20s, black and white, shimmery nitro in the print. I can see the filter it's going through, and it's very consistent.
It's a lovely description. Thank you.
Like, I can see why Ken Burns was like, oh, I want to make a doc about both the books you've written, because I can see it as I'm reading Emperor for sure. I know what the film stock should look like. I know what the lighting should be like. Like, it's just there.
Well, it has that thriller quality you were talking about earlier, the police timeline. It feels like a narrative.
When I write, I try to think of a cinematic quality in the writing. I love watching films, but I have a very particular kind of film that I like. And they all come from the 40s and 50s, where lighting was very important. So Tarkovsky is a big favorite. And then much later, Kieslowski. So I don't actively sit down and say, I'm going to write a novel that sounds like a novel that Tarkovsky would have liked, or, Andrei Rublev or something. I sit down and say, there has to be a quality in the writing so that you feel the place that you're in. Even the most minimal thing should have atmosphere in it.
I'm going to add to the tonal thing, because the structure of your books, and it is clear in The Song of the Cell, you are telling us a history at all times. So we're going through many different anecdotal scenarios. And what has to stay clean through that for it to be cohesive? Again, I would analogize it to making a movie. You might have a funny scene, you might have a breakup scene, you might have a death scene, but there has to be a visual and a tonal cohesiveness through all the different elements. And I think that you're dropping down into all these different time periods, but that tonal point of you as a writer is what makes them all consistent and cohesive.
Well, Song of the Cell is my fourth book, but really a third in a trilogy of books. Emperor, The Gene, and then now The Song of the Cell. In nonfiction writing, there's a very old phrase, which is chronology is your best friend. It makes life much easier. I started writing Song of the Cell and realized that I couldn't use chronology because it would have been incredibly boring to read and not atmospheric. And I would not know what to do with chronology. He discovered this, she then found that cell. So the Song of the Cell is organized very, very differently. So there's a prelude, which is historical, but then each chapter acquires the personality of a cell. And I didn't realize it, but as I was going through it, the Song of the Cell makes a very controversial, but I think important claim about knowledge. A reviewer recently sort of reminded me of this. The iconography of life for the last 10 years has been DNA. The lovely thing about DNA is that it has a very defined structure. It'll look the same whether it's here or in the moon, or if we find it in some ectoplasmic alien that comes from another planet. If that ectoplasmic alien has DNA, it will look like DNA, the same DNA that you and I have. And if Paul Berg had his druthers, he would stitch those two pieces together and produce a piece of DNA, which would be half alien and half human, and it would still look like DNA. And that's been an incredibly unifying philosophy for science. The cell is just the opposite because it doesn't exemplify uniformity, but it exemplifies the enormous diversity that comes out of that molecule. Now, DNA itself, that molecule, is lifeless. It's a code. But a cell is the deciphering of that code into something that emerges out of that code. And your neuron and your liver cell and your white blood cell, all of which contain the same code, look completely different from each other, behave completely differently from each other, occupy completely different spaces, and have completely different functions. And so the epistemological claim in The Song of the Cell is that maybe we should be moving from the century of the gene to the century of the cell. The gene or DNA has become so iconographically identified with the great unification of biology that now we're finding out that beyond that great unification lies a layer of that commonality becoming extraordinarily diverse, acquiring extraordinarily different functions. And that is where we should be paying a lot of attention, because that is the locus, as the book claims, of life, and it is a locus of disease. You know, the last chapter is going to this in great detail. It's so satisfying to have a single molecule that looks like a single molecule. But if someone says to me, draw a picture of a cell, I'd say, well, what cell? A neuron? It looks completely different from a skin cell. But knowing that if I had to be a physician or if I had to do something about the body, yes, of course, I can alter genes. But ultimately, everything that comes to life, life's basic unit, is not the iconographic picture of that great unifying molecule, but life's basic unit is the cell. And it's the cell that we should understand and figure out if we want to figure out both normalcy in life and disease. That's sort of the punchline that's hidden behind the book. And that's why this book couldn't be organized chronologically. It's not a pathway of discovery. It's like a million starbursts. And you figure out each of these individual functional properties of a cell, how a neuron is different from a white blood cell. Each of these is its own story. And that's why the book is divided up in this manner, in which every single chapter acquires the functional property of a cell. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I do want to, though, put in a layer so that people who aren't familiar with the cell, it is in your preface, which is, so Hooke and Leeuwenhoek in the late 1600s, they're looking through these microscopes that they have created themselves. They're not the ones we get to use. There's other people who've done it. But they start realizing, oh my gosh, all living things are really made up of cells. This is completely proprietary at that time, right? We're just looking at bodies in front of us, animals, plants. At best, they're dissecting some stuff. They see organs. Oh, there's stuff inside these bodies. But this is the first time that they're going, oh no, everything we're looking at is made up of these cells, and every single living thing has these cells. That's like a complete paradigm shift.
Leeuwenhoek and Hooke find cells. They're very interesting, exciting characters. But they don't have the wherewithal to make the most audacious claim of all. And it's not until another 150 odd years before two other scientists, Schwann and Schleiden, who are very close, they're colleagues, one studying animals, one studying plants, who make the claim that you're making, that everything, all life, is made out of cells.
I guess they were just the first to name it a cell.
Correct.
Right. God, and I don't want to jump to the end really, but we all grew up with that understanding that we are an aggregate of all these cells, that all these cells are working in concert, that they come together to make this enormous thing that appears to be its own individual thing, but really it's made up of billions and billions of cells. I think that is a really profound thing for people to have recognized.
Absolutely. And at the time, it was very controversial. Lots of people thought that this is all nonsense. How could you possibly imagine that when you go down right at the microscopic level, that the microscopic units that build the brain and the heart are basically similar or the same? Coming back to the last piece of conversation we just had, they don't even look similar. And yet functionally, metabolically, biochemically, if you go really into the heart of it, they are the same thing. They're two manifestations of a unit, and that unit is a cell. So it was a really, really bold claim. And at that point in time, you can imagine lots of skeptics saying, this is complete nonsense.
Well, you're proposing contradictory things, which is our bodies are made up of these self-contained individual items that make one thing or a whole. So they seem just logically completely counter to one another. And that's the leap you're asking at the end of the book to make, which is between atomism and holism, right? That it has to be one thing or another, that either this is one cohesive blob or that there's individual things. How could they possibly be working in concert with the rest of the individual things in creating this body? Is very hard to comprehend Still, it's wild that all the cells are on their own, surviving on their own and self-regulating, and yet they are a web that creates this greater thing.
And I think that's what's very profound about organisms or bodies, that you have a whole system whose job is to make sure that you don't get invaded by pathogens. You have a whole system to make sure that the salt in your body doesn't exceed some limit. You have a brain that is allowing us to have this conversation. Now, if everything were put into the same unit and made to be the same, if everything was atomistic, everything looked like each other and was like each other, functioned like each other, then you wouldn't have all these things that we can do, like walk and talk and defend ourselves against invaders and predators, and also make pasta and watch a film and make a film, write a book, all of these things. Now, what's amazing about it is that these things, when they work well, they work as a cooperative assembly, like a parliament. And another thing that the book talks about is that over and over again, in laboratory experiments, in genetic experiments, etc., scientists have found that this kind of assembly of various parts, cells, carries an evolutionary advantage, because evolution over and over again selected for multicellular organisms, even though single-celled organisms like bacteria are extraordinarily successful. They live in all sorts of places. They're living in our bodies. They're living between our teeth. But somehow, in terms of natural selection, this kind of cooperative assembly with functional specialization, your immune cell defending our body against predators, your brain acting as a master coordinator of your actions and your thoughts, your muscles moving dynamically in space so that you can move yourself in space. All of this cooperative assembly was of great evolutionary advantage, so much so that people believe that these assemblies evolved separately and independently multiple times. In other words, multiple times during evolution, there was a leap from single-celled existence to multicellular existence, because somehow or the other, and we have theories about these now, but they're theories, you can't wind the clock back. But somehow or the other, this assembly, this idea of the song of the cell, the fact that these things are singing together, and there is not just sort of one note coming out and another note coming out, but they're singing together like an assembly, somehow or the other creates an incredible evolutionary advantage. And you could say that is what human beings are. We lie on top of a certain chain of evolution because these assemblies work.
Yeah, there had to be many iterations that worked for some time. And then when one of the cells in the system started malfunctioning, the entire thing grenaded, right? I mean, the fact that it has the stability to also deal with many of the cells malfunctioning around it and still work is its own crazy mystery. The book has a huge application to, by looking at ourselves through the lens of the cell, that it's going to lead us in a lot of directions, hopefully, with medicine. And you point out that all these things, hip fracture, heart attack, Alzheimer's, AIDS, cancer, arthritis, they're all the results of systems of cells functioning abnormally. At the heart of it, that's what's going on, is that in this perfect cohesion in the system, some of them start functioning abnormally, and that's the root of all of our ailments.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
This episode is brought to you by the new Max original comedy series, Stuart Fails to Save the Universe. From the world and creators of The Big Bang Theory comes a new comedy series. Stuart Bloom, comic book store owner and lovable underdog, accidentally breaks a device built by Sheldon and Leonard and kicks off a full-blown multiverse Armageddon. Now, he's on a mission to put reality back together alongside his girlfriend Denise, a geologist named Bert, and physicist Barry Kripke. Along the way, they're running into alternate universe versions of characters you already know and love. Check out the new Max original comedy series, Stuart Fails to Save the Universe, now streaming exclusively on HBO Max with new episodes Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern. Subscription required. This podcast is brought to you by Squarespace. We've talked before about Rob building our website on Squarespace, and I bring it up again because it's a perfect example of what they do well. Rob had all the pieces, the content, the vision, the ideas, but he needed something to actually take all that and make it public facing. And Squarespace was that bridge. Maybe you're in the same spot. You've been developing something, a business, a skill set, a body of work, and it's been private. It's been yours, but at some point you're ready to put it out there, and that transition from private to public can feel like a huge leap. Squarespace makes it feel like a step. Beautiful templates, built-in SEO, email campaigns, scheduling, analytics, everything you need to go from I've been working on this to here it is, come find me. All in one place, no code, no stitching together a bunch of different tools. So if you've been sitting on something and waiting for the right moment, this might be it. Head to squarespace.com/DAX for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, use offer code DAX to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.
Back to school starts now. Get long-lasting battery life on the Dell XPS laptop powered by Series 3 Intel Core so you can work from anywhere. Now starting at $699 with exclusive student pricing starting at $599. And it's lightweight, portable, and packed with enough processing power to make multitasking a breeze. So say goodbye to distractions and hello to more free time because you finished your work faster. Complete your setup with savings on select monitors and more must-have electronics and accessories. Limited time deals and free shipping on PCs and more await you at Dell.com/deals. That's Dell.com/deals.
Thank you to our presenting sponsor, HP, for supporting this episode. Parents, you've got enough on your back-to-school list right now. Ink cartridges do not need to be on it. They just don't. The HP Smart Tank printer uses a refillable ink tank and comes with up to 3 years of ink included. It's the last printer you'll ever need. To learn more, search HP Smart Tank.
I'm going back to a character who threads the book, Rudolf Virchow, the pathologist, who makes two very simple but two very radical statements. The first one is that normal physiology is the consequence of cells functioning normally. Seems like a very simple statement, but we just unpacked it. Its flip, its obverse, is also true. That abnormal physiology, all disease, Virchow claims, is cellular disease. If you want to understand any disease, any illness, you have to understand its cellular basis. Now, if you really stretch that point, think about neuropsychiatric diseases. What Virchow is saying that even depression and schizophrenia, to really understand those diseases and to be able to treat and potentially cure them, what you need to understand is the abnormal cellular physiology in those diseases. He's saying that I'm not denying the fact that the environment could have something to do with it, but he's saying that the final common answer in order to have the disease must be that some cell in your body is not functioning the way it's supposed to function. It seems like a very sort of blasé statement. Okay, all diseases are cellular diseases. But when you really begin to think about it, you begin to think, gosh, that really reorients the way I think about medicine, reorients the way I think about humans, reorients the way I think about making new humans, questions about AI, intelligence, normalcy, abnormalcy, disability, all of this stuff, all of a sudden, you start thinking about it in a new kind of way. And that, I think, is the message of The Song of the Cell.
Well, this ties into the TED Talk you did in 2015, which is you can both acknowledge that every single ailment at its core is a cellular issue, but then we can also have a new way of looking at what creates that cellular health or its functionality. And so in your TED Talk, which is great, is you say we've been trapped kind of in a model or a paradigm for about 100 years. Once we discovered antibiotics, our system became really just three parts: have a disease, take a pill, kill something. That's been the model that we've studied everything, that we've researched everything, how we've treated everything, and that your model, when looking at the cell, might be actually done in reverse. Can you just tell us how the future of medicine will be a flipping of that?
Yeah, the model will be start from find the cell that's behaving abnormally, find the environment or the circumstances that are making the cell behave abnormally, and that would be the immediate environment of the cell, and ultimately find the macro environment of the cell that is making the person, the organism, behave abnormally. So it would be something like cell, organ, organism, environment. Rather than building down, you build up a theory of disease, you build up a theory of abnormality. And this is something that my lab does in some ways. There are extremely strong genetic tools these days. And you can analyze the world with very strong genetic tools. You can sequence millions, billions of genes, all of which have been extraordinarily helpful. But what I'm proposing in this book and have proposed is that that doesn't account for the emergent properties of the cell. You can't read the Morse code of the human genome and say, in this Morse code lies the anatomy of a brain that can write a symphony. You cannot go from one to the other.
Yeah.
And that's an incredible puzzle. That's the puzzle of biology. You cannot read the Morse code, A, C, T, G, of the human genome. And from that, based on pure principles alone, you cannot predict that therein lies the code to build a kidney. You won't know what that kidney does or what that kidney looks like or what it even behaves like. It just isn't there. However, you can look at a kidney and its cells and their function and begin to figure out what it does, how it does it, what the physiology is, and how it basically regulates salt and water in your body. So the book makes the claim that we need to make a step now, moving beyond this very atomistic, which is, in the case of biology, a genetic understanding of humans and our bodies, to a cellular understanding. And not just one cell, but the parliament of cells, how one cell talks to another, how one cell behaves with another. And until we understand that, we'll understand simple genetic diseases, but we won't understand real complex diseases, and some of which we talked about.
Well, you give this example of a scientist walking through the forest with an assistant that's out to help him. He's a local. And as the scientist is walking with this guy, he's discovering that the local guy knows every single plant species. And initially, he's really, really impressed and shocked by that. And he's commending the guy on it. But the guy is really distraught because he, although knows every single species in there, he laments the fact that he doesn't really know anything because he doesn't understand the song of them. But as you say, what he really means is he doesn't understand the interconnectedness of them. He doesn't understand how they're communicating. He doesn't understand how they're playing off of one another and forming this much larger ecosystem they're walking through.
Exactly.
Here's where I myself struggle. We just interviewed a guy that was talking about a farmer in England who has spent the last 25 years on a single piece of land that was fallow, and he's been trying to get it to harvest, and he's discovered all of this stuff about the different fungi that has to grow in the soil around the roots, and then he also found that of these, I forget what he said, 20,000, whatever, there's only 4 that grow on the roots, and they happen to be the 4 that are in our microbiome. So for this guy trying to resurrect a farm, discovering that you could look at the root for the rest of his life, but the more he focuses out and realizes that the whole thing grows in combination with all these other things, the picture just keeps getting bigger and bigger and more complex. Now, here's the thing I struggle with. Like, I can acknowledge that there are cells in my body. I can go even smaller. I can say there's electrons, there's protons. Okay, then there's atoms. Now there's these cells. I get it. These cells are somehow working together, and they're in my body, and they've formed organs and bones, and I am this thing. I stop at me. Okay, so I'm this individual creature. I'm talking to you, but it is really hard for me to make the leap that the scaling up keeps continuing and that I'm a part of all the other animals around me and the other flora and fauna. That's a hard leap. Do you think that's hard for everyone?
I think that's the hardest leap. And I think we're not there yet. And this goes back to the TED Talk. But in really order to understand us, and by us, I mean human beings in general, I think we need to slowly start making those leaps. But there's a leap before that leap, finding the interconnectedness of cells. So I'm obsessed with moss. I love growing moss. And moss is a very peculiar creature because if you try to grow moss, it will not grow. It's a little bit like a child. If you try to tell a child to go left, he or she will go right. And so if you try to make moss grow, it won't grow. And exactly when you're looking away and places that you don't want moss to grow, it'll thrive and flourish. And this is for my own garden. The question I've been trying to solve for a long time is why? Why is it that I put buttermilk and whatever else moss experts tell you, and the moss will die in like 3 days? Whereas in places where I don't, it thrives. And bit by bit, following advice from other people, I've started piecing things together. So someone said, plant oak saplings, because oak saplings have a symbiotic relationship with moss, and they allow the moss to grow. And sure enough, I planted some oak saplings, and the moss started growing around them. And so bit by bit by bit by bit, this holistic idea of the human body, like moss, we'll have to solve. That's the secret to understanding ourselves. But we're not there yet. We're actually one step still behind. And the one step still behind is before we understand the song of the ecosystem, we have to understand the song of the cell, which is to figure out just by yourself, not in relationship with the large environment that you're living in, how one piece is talking to another piece. And that's what our lab has started to do. We've started to explore things like how does metabolism affect cancer? That's one of the biggest projects that we have. Another project is how does a neighboring cell affect a cancer cell? How does the cancer create a home for itself? So that's another song. It's a malignant song.
Yeah.
How does bone sustain itself? How do bones grow? When you have a fracture, how do they repair themselves? When you get a bone marrow transplant, how do all the cells know to start growing and repopulate your blood system? And then why is it that, everyone with bone marrow transplant doesn't have cancer and they, explode with blood? Because they know how to stop growing and because they're sending signals to each other to start and stop growing. So that's the intermediate level that we're still struggling to understand. We'll slowly crack that open. And then comes your question, which is how does this organism then fit into the bigger environment?
Don't we think we know how cells communicate? We think they're talking chemically, yeah?
We know that they're talking chemically. We also know that they're talking physically in the sense that, there are now lots and lots of experiments that show that there's physics behind this too, in the sense that when they touch each other, their forces, their shear forces, we know that. That's a general idea. We need to know exactly what chemical, under what circumstances, what physical circumstances, et cetera, in order to cure diseases.
And can we ask too, who's orchestrating it? That's my great curiosity. It's even if you find the mechanism by which they're all communicating with one another, like the beehive or something, where's the master plan coming from? The DNA? But is that complete?
You could say it's coming from DNA, but the master plan is to some extent that when cells accumulate with each other, they form a system that has evolutionary advantage. It's a natural selection process. Cells learn to communicate with each other, not because there's a brain behind it or because there's God sitting there saying, you've got to talk to him or her.
Yeah.
It's because the only way the organism could survive was if one white cell talked to another white cell. In an organism where two white cells could communicate with each other, that organism is a much better defended organism against a pathogen and will survive. So the master plan really is the playing out of evolution by natural selection. And there's no other master plan. And that's what's amazing about it. It's a distributive plan. No one said that this is how you have to behave, but that's how cells behave.
Right.
And so that general principle is known, but the details are very important now. A cancer cell which has metastasized to your bone, what exactly is it doing to make a home for itself? When I say exactly, I mean what chemical is it secreting so that the bone thinks that it's perfectly fine to have a breast cancer cell sitting inside bone? That's not normal. Why would your lung cells say, oh, okay, it's perfectly fine this morning for a breast cancer cell to come and sit in the lung? Why would it say that?
Yeah. And why does the spleen not ever say it's okay?
This question comes to us from the 1890s. The spleen and the liver are the same size. The spleen almost never has metastases. The liver is one of the most frequent sites of metastases. Why? And they're next to each other. So somehow or the other, there's something in the spleen or something about the cells of the spleen that won't allow or won't be permissive to a breast cancer cell coming and setting up shop there. Whereas there's something in the liver which says, come be my guest. Why? The answer has to be that the pancreatic cancer cell makes some factor, a chemical factor, which then makes it a permissive cell. It becomes what the biologist Ruslan Mezitov calls a client cell. It obtains a client permission to live inside the liver. And what's more is that it also allows that cell not to be scanned by the immune system.
Right. Does it become invisible or a recognized client?
We now know that some of them become invisible in the sense that the immune system thinks of those cells as part of the normal repertoire of that organ. Since it doesn't attack the organ, it doesn't attack the cancer cell that's resident in the organ. But now we've discovered more. So not only does the cell make this cloak of invisibility around itself, it also makes a house of invisibility around itself. So in other words, it attracts other cells to form a kind of shell around it. But what we need to know, if we want to solve all these problems, is how is it making that camouflage? What chemical? It's not enough to say a chemical. We need to know exactly what chemical. Can that chemical be inactivated? Can that chemical be targeted? This is what my lab has taken on. So I often say I missed the genomic and genetic revolution. It passed by me. And in some ways, I'm thankful for it because genomics and genetics is very seductive. You can sequence the Morse code, but if you read the Morse code, you cannot from that code understand exactly the questions that I asked you. Nothing in reading human DNA will tell you that a spleen is not a site of metastases while the liver is a frequent site of metastases. You can read the genome backwards, upwards, sideways, and nothing will tell you why this fact is true. You have to look at the cells. You have to look at cell biology.
Is it feasible that in 100 million years, we will evolve for every organ to behave like the spleen?
Yes, I think it's feasible. I suspect that there will be some common themes, and they're already becoming clear. There are some common themes that allow metastatic cancer cells to set up shop in various organs. The factors that they use to set up shop are actually not infinite, they're finite. And in fact, many of them are shared between organs. So I think it is possible that in the future, we'd have some kind of way of preventing that. We just have to figure out if we can do it in a manner that doesn't have toxicity in the entire body.
We would have to intervene, though, right? Like, if for it to happen on an evolutionary
That's what I
scale,
mean.
that's why cancer is so present, is that you can reproduce long before you ever deal with cancer. That's what makes it so lethal, is you're getting it in your 40s, 50s, 60s. You've already passed your genes on. So for there to be any mutation that would cure you from that, it's not going to make you more advantageous to other people that don't have the gene, because everyone's going to reproduce before cancer age, mostly.
Yeah, that's of course a big conundrum. Most diseases that happen after reproductive age, it's difficult for natural selection to work on those diseases because you've already reproduced, unless they're genetically passed down. And cancer, although it's a genetic disease, it's a disease that happens in older age, typically, not always, but it happens because something changes the genes, a copying error, or a carcinogen changes the code. But natural selection can't act on that because you haven't passed that code down to your children. Your children have gotten the intact code. Now, that's not completely true. You and I know that there are some familial cancers where the genes are passed down. And in those cases, if you get the cancer early enough in your life, there's adverse selection against that. And that's why most cancers are not acted upon by standard natural selection. Now, there are people who study biology and evolution and talk about sort of kin selection in the sense that you need families and you need a protective environment, et cetera, et cetera. There is a way for natural selection to act beyond reproductive age, but that's a different story. It's somewhat a minor story.
Okay, I just want to comment on one thing, and then I want to try to ensnare you in something you probably don't want to talk about. But really quickly, the fact that the genomic revolution passed you by could be this huge asset to you, right? Because just like CRISPR and these other technologies and what we did with the COVID RNA vaccine, that happened as a result of a great scientist being forced out of the DNA exploration, having to focus on RNA, which no one wanted to study, right?
RNA has been fascinating to scientists for a long time. It's harder to study for various reasons. Its biology is more complex. Every cell doesn't have the same RNA, bar a few sperm and egg cells and your immune cells, which are slightly different from each other, and some mutations that occur in individual cells. So with those exceptions aside, for the most part, every cell in your body has the same DNA. And so it's much easier to study that. Every cell in your body, on the other hand, does not have the same RNA. RNA is made from DNA. It's the soft copy. And your brain cell has a completely different set of RNA molecules than your liver cell. And so RNA has been a great problem to study. Studying it has won dozens of Nobel Prizes, has had really quite an impact on human biology. And you're absolutely right. There were lots of people in that time studying DNA and very few people studying RNA. And in fact, it's the study of RNA that led to the creation of the new vaccines.
Okay, I got to say one more time. For anyone who's not normally drawn to a scientific book or a book on biology, I have to say that your writing really transcends the topic. I've recommended The Emperor to a bunch of people that I don't have a ton of interest in it, and everyone found it to be that same weird, romantic, historic, noir experience. There's something really broadly appealing about the way you write, and I think everyone would really enjoy The Song of the Cell. And I think it asks some bigger questions, which is we're so caught up in the pieces and not necessarily the whole that everything adds up to. We're kind of missing a lot because of that myopic view of everything.
Perfectly right.
I just want to ask you, and again, you probably don't want to talk about this, but I'm reading a book called Behave right now. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's fantastic.
I have.
I can't believe how much I love it. But of course, in it, it's going through how there's kind of a resurgence in Lamarckian inheritance. When you're in your entry biology class and they're teaching you evolution, the wrong theory was that a giraffe could stretch its neck and make its neck longer, pass it on to its kid. He became a punchline, Lamarck. Now, as we learn a lot more about all the different things that are reading the DNA, transferring, turning genes on, turning them off, it seems much more complicated. In reading Behave, I'm like, could you just say that DNA is every single ingredient in a pantry, every single food product that could ever exist, and that really it takes a chef to then make you a dish with all these ingredients, like between the RNA and the epigenome, turning on and turning off genes? It just seems like maybe an endless pantry, and that there's great variability with all these ingredients, and that perhaps maybe some co-view of it could exist. I'm wondering if from when you wrote your paper in the New Yorker in 2016, you got some backlash. If even from 2016 to 2022, has it inched closer to maybe a view of evolution that maybe involves both elements?
The 2016 paper, first of all, was an extract from a massive book.
Yes, The Gene.
And standard mechanisms of gene regulation. There are 4 chapters on it. The extract happened to be from a chapter which talks about what I would call non-standard or newer ways by which we are exploring the way genes are regulated. And a certain group of scientists who are very touchy about standard ways of gene regulation started saying, no, this is all new. Of course it's new. That's why it's in the New Yorker. If it was a standard textbook explanation, it wouldn't be. Now, over time, I think people are realizing that there's more to gene regulation than we originally knew. Because the code is the code, right? There's a master code. That code has to be regulated so that your neuron doesn't have the same RNA and proteins than your white blood cell. The standard model, which is a very classical model and is absolutely correct, is that there are factors called transcription factors, master regulators, you can call them whatever you want. They turn genes on and off. Absolutely correct. Discovered by Jacob and Monod in the 1950s and 60s and elaborated on extensively. What's interesting is that standard model now is being refined. And we are realizing that there are more and more elements to that standard model that need to be added. And this indignance about not thinking that there are more things that need to be added is just, to me, absurd. I'll give you some classical examples. The cancer that I study, acute myelogenous leukemia, AML, the most common mutations are mutations in the very genes that don't fit into the standard model. In other words, these are genes that attach chemical signals to DNA, not transcription factors. Here's a totally dysregulated cell whose genome has been totally dysregulated. Typically, not always, does not have alterations, or the alterations are rare in those very factors that, are considered the classical ways that genes are regulated. And I cannot seem to convince people that we need to think a little bit more deeply about genetic regulation. It's more complex. Now, The second part of the question that you ask is about Lamarckian evolution. The article was very clear. There are some examples in smaller animals of intergenerational Lamarckian evolution. But those examples are few and far between. We know the mechanisms of some of them. Whether they last across multiple generations is a question mark. But also, this is the strange thing about the blogosphere. Someone will pick up something from the blog and say, Siddhartha Mukherjee is a proponent of Lamarckian evolution. Whereas, in fact, I'm exactly the opposite.
And can I be clear? I don't believe in Lamarck in that you can stretch your neck and pass it on. I guess the component of it that they're probably wrongly labeling Lamarckian seems to be your environment is in the mix. It's not just your genes that you pass down. You might have an enormous spectrum of outcomes, phenotypical spectrum of outcomes based on your DNA, that the environment can actually go inward and activate.
Yes, and there are some examples, and there are increasing numbers of examples of that, mostly in smaller animals. I don't think that there's been any definitive example in humans. So the question is, can this happen in humans? There has been a lot of controversy about it. I've acknowledged the controversy. The book, the article, everything I've written talks about this as speculative, controversial, and unlikely to have evidence in humans. I can't say any more than that.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right. The environment impinges on genetic regulation. The way we understand gene regulation is incomplete still. We need a lot more understanding. And the classical model of gene regulation, in which factors attach themselves to the genome, activate certain genes, and then there's a positive feedback of these, works, but it doesn't work completely. It doesn't explain certain things. You have to invoke some different ways of gene regulation. And the fact that people don't accept that is absurd. It's looking away from the problem.
Well, I think it gets down to the very most fundamental flaw we all humans cannot resist, which is we want a definitive statement. We're so uncomfortable if we don't have a definitive statement. Either Newtonian physics works, or no, it doesn't work in this situation. Oh, no, now we need to incorporate. There's such discomfort with the notion that multiple things may be working at once and not at all times and sometimes at other times. But I think when we get anchored into these binary, I just feel like you're bound to miss so much. It's like confirmation bias. You can't see the contradictory facts because you're now just trying to defend Newtonian physics, or that nothing goes faster than the speed of light, or any one of these things. It's just funny to me that it feels present in biology as it is in politics and everywhere else.
All absolutely correct. I mean, I think that gene-environment interactions are not fully understood yet. Gene regulation is not fully understood yet. There's a group of what I would call old school classical biologists who believed that they had solved the problem, then dusted their hands off. And indeed, they'd solved the most major part of the problem, which is, yes, it's absolutely true that the reason your neuron is a neuron, or your nerve cell is a nerve cell, and your white cell is a white cell, is because there are factors in it, there are proteins in those cells that bind to DNA, activate or repress certain other genes, and thereby make certain proteins express in the nerve cell and not in the white blood cell. That's absolutely true. But that explanation of gene regulation is still incomplete. It does not explain certain things that we're finding out about cancer, for instance. It doesn't explain certain things that we're finding out about gene-environment interactions. It does not explain certain things about how some of these signals can maintain their permanence when the cell divides. It did not explain why calico cats are calico. They have patches of different colors in their skin. So there were things about the classical model which is absolutely correct, but does not fully capture the complexities of gene-environment interactions. And I wish someone would just be able to say that without being smacked on the head by old school classical biologists, because there have been dozens, hundreds, thousands of papers now written about new forms of gene regulation. There have been prizes, including at least one Nobel Prize awarded for these new findings about gene regulation. And there will be many more Nobel Prizes, 2 breakthrough prizes awarded for this, multiple major papers written about all of this. And it's as if this entire field of non-classical gene regulation did not exist. And then the defense is, oh, you're being Lamarckian.
Right, because we know that's wrong. If I hang that on you, then debate over.
And I keep saying, no, you don't understand. You can think about gene regulation without being a Lamarckian. So it's not like I'm digging up his grave and bringing up his ghost and saying, oh gosh, Lamarck was right and Darwin was wrong. How many times do I have to say that?
No, Darwin's clearly right. And some other people might be right. Not Lamarck per se, but some other people might be right in addition.
Exactly.
Well, I just want to thank you. Besides your incredible gift for writing, which again, I hope everyone experiences in their life. It's so beautiful and tragic and inspiring. Additionally, I would say I love you as a disruptor, someone who's not afraid to flip a model on its head, to use metaphor in a way that helps us break out of these patterns. I think anyone who's a catalyst for always challenging the models we're stuck in is a wonderful force for good. And I dig you. And you do look like the kick-ass scientist from Jurassic Park. You're a creative motherfucker. Let's put it that way. You're an artistic biologist, and it's really cool.
I love your podcast, so kudos back to both you guys.
I want everyone to buy and read The Song of the Cell, An Exploration of Medicine and the New Human. Out October 25th. Be well. Thank you so much for your time. I know it's valuable. I hope I get to see you again in person. I'm going to pick up my style game if I know that's imminent, because I want to also be compared to something while we're together.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
We are supported by HP. If you're a parent or you know one, like I do, or you can help take care of kids, you already know what August feels like. It's not summer anymore, it's the pregame. The supplies list, the forms, the we need this printed by tomorrow texts that come in at 9 p.m. And I say this as someone who's been on the receiving end of those texts in a former life. You're ready to help, and then the printer says no, out of ink, blinking at you, useless. It's such a small thing, but it will absolutely derail your night. So when I heard about the HP Smart Tank printer from HP, America's most trusted printer brand, I thought this is the kind of thing that actually makes life easier, not in a big flashy way, in a one less crisis way. Instead of those little cartridges that run out the second you need them, the HP Smart Tank uses refillable ink tanks, and it comes with up to 3 years of ink included. 3 years. That's 3 back-to-school seasons without the cartridge panic. HP can't fill out the forms for you, but they can make sure the printer is never the reason you're up past midnight. Search HP Smart Tank.
This episode is supported by Helix.
So I've had my Helix mattress for a few years now, and I still love it just as much as the first night. That says a lot because a good night's sleep is very important to me.
Sleep is everything. And what's great about Helix is that it's not a guessing game with finding the right mattress, because they have over 20 models, so you can find the one that actually fits how you sleep. And with that summer heat upon us, Helix has cooling upgrades that can get you the best rest even on hot nights.
I have a Helix Midnight Luxe mattress. I really like the level of firmness it has, but that might not be right for you. They have so many options, and you just go take the quiz and it is perfectly matched for your needs, which is incredible. I also highly, highly recommend the cooling upgrade, especially in the summer. It makes your sleep so much better. If you're still tossing and turning on a mattress that's not working for you, just trust us on this one.
Go to helixsleep.com/armchair for 20% off site-wide. That's helixsleep.com/armchair for 20% off site-wide. helixsleep.com/armchair.
We get support from Skims. Oh man, do I love Skims. I've been living in the Skims lightweight cotton collection all summer, and I have to tell you, getting dressed has become so easy. I just throw it on. It just feels right immediately, whether I'm grabbing coffee or I'm on the couch all day or I'm out, even going to dinner. The cotton is so lightweight and breathable, which in this heat is a non-negotiable. The cotton jersey t-shirt, I just need everyone to know about this one. This one hugs in all the right places. It's very soft, and it still looks and fits the same after months of washing, which is very hard to do, I feel, with t-shirts. I've been wearing the black cotton jersey t-shirt with basically everything all summer long. It goes great with any patterned skirt or shorts or pants. I mean, anything, truly. I believe that's probably my favorite piece from the cotton collection, but they also have great lightweight cotton thongs that are so comfortable. and they're cute. That is a very, very hard mix to achieve, especially with undergarments. I feel if you can find some that are cute, but also comfortable and do the job, that is a win. And Skims has really, really figured that out with the lightweight cotton collection. Shop Skims cotton and all of my favorite pieces at skims.com. After you place your order, be sure to let them know we sent you. Select podcast in the survey and be sure to select Armchair Expert in the drop-down menu that follows.
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. You've heard us talk about BetterHelp for a while, but I don't know that we've ever talked about how much people love this service when they use it. BetterHelp has an average live therapy session rating of 4.9 out of 5 based on over 1.7 million client session reviews. And you can check out the reviews yourself at betterhelp.com/reviews to see how much they love BetterHelp. Knowing that kind of service feedback from real people speaks for itself. I'm a huge proponent of therapy, as we've talked about before. I've learned so many things about myself that I believe truly only an outside, objective person could help me come to. BetterHelp makes it easy to get started. Answer a few questions, get matched with a therapist based on your needs, and switch therapists at any time if it's not the right fit. See the reviews, see what stands out, and see if BetterHelp is right for you. Visit betterhelp.com/Dax. That's betterhelp.com/Dax.
And now my favorite part of the show, the fact check with my soulmate, Monica Padman.
Okay, well,
We have a special guest. Welcome to the show.
Prairie Sooners here. I'm from New Mexico, Colorado, USA.
Who is this one for, Monty?
Siddhartha Mukherjee.
Oh, man.
Great act.
Intimidating. Did you listen to it?
Yes.
That's not what I meant. I know you edited them. I didn't know if you were there yet. I don't know. Of course you are.
I have
because
to be by the time that I do this with you.
Of course. I wasn't saying anything. I just meant you did hear it. I was pretty critical after that one. I was not proud of my performance in that one. I remember being in a bad mood after that.
Why?
I try my hardest to maybe condense what I think I understand about their thing into like a simple analogy or simple delivery of this thing. And I just didn't have those skills that day is what I thought. And then I was like, I think I failed at that. And then I think he thinks I'm dumb. This is what I thought at the end of all of it.
How do you work through that? I can't work through something I've done 15 years ago. Like if I feel like I did something.
Yeah. I had to go, some of them you're not going to think you nailed it, and some you're gonna, and there'll be more.
Yeah, like I get hung up on a cameo, something as simple as that.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I hit upload, I go, oh, God. And I'll think of it for 3 days.
Wow.
Yes.
I will tell you, it was good and interesting. And it didn't feel like you weren't talking enough or you weren't doing, it felt like you were doing the perfect amount.
Well, I also, the other reason I was upset was that I apologized to you afterwards.
You did, which was very sweet.
It was like, there's only a handful of these, and there's really no predicting why I'm going to be insecure. I can't pinpoint it, right? Like weirdly, it was more fun talking to Bill Gates than I was him.
Yeah.
There was something about him that same with Jared Diamond, like I got to be perfect on my end. And what he knows is so dense that I've got to I got to crack this thing. Anyways, all that anxiety resulted in me not leaving the door open at all for you to talk. And I knew it was happening. And I was panicked that I wasn't getting to this other thing. We need to know about his book, whatever. I was very stressed about it. And then in my worst way of dealing with that is I just, I'm trying to control the whole thing. And then afterwards, I was very regretful that I didn't leave more space for you. You know what part of it was?
What?
We have certain guests where I think I guess it's almost like we're not entitled to their time.
But you are entitled to their time.
No, I'm saying this show doesn't warrant their time. He's running 5 companies and he's got a lab. He's breaking through the stuff and he's writing these impossibly beautiful books. There's no way he wants to talk to strangers for an hour. sometimes I start with that. I think, oh God, this guy is like, what a waste of time this is.
Yeah.
I have that assessment occasionally about guests, and then I'm in a I'm off kilter.
Yeah. I get that.
Yeah, I just felt like sometimes like, oh my God, I'm wasting this guy's time.
But we have the time, right? So, like, yes, whether or not he wants to be there, doesn't want to be there, I guess I could choose to hear that. I'm not going to, but I could choose to hear that as we only have so much time with this incredibly smart person. So it should be.
Oh my God, I could have never guessed that would be a takeaway of what I was just saying.
Really?
Oh my God, yeah. I accept it. I can understand now that you paint it that way, how that sounds to you. I wasn't saying that in reference to me railroading and not letting you in. That wasn't a comment on that. I was saying sometimes there's a handful of people that I'm insecure going into interviews with, having nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
Or even considering whether I'm going to talk too much or make space for you. That aside.
Yeah.
There's a handful of people that I'm too stressed
You're
out
overwhelmed
about.
by it.
When we start.
Yeah.
It's like I got to somehow talk about his whole cancer book and the cell and all that stuff. And I think he might be doing us a favor through Adam Grant. I don't know if he wants to be here.
I mean, yes, and I'm just gonna get like it's not a favor. It's a
great place to promote a book.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Thank God it only happens once in a blue moon.
Yeah.
But it does happen. And he was one of them. And I thought I did a terrible job. And I also, in my panic, did not leave any room for you to talk, which absolutely sucked. But when I say we don't deserve their time, I don't mean so therefore I should take all the time at all.
I don't think. I just want you to not be worried about it. It went great.
Yeah.
It went great. It's a good episode. He's fascinating.
But for the record, I've never in my life made an analysis. This is worthy of Monica participating or not.
My worry would be that it's not conscious, but that's in the mix. But
there are certain people that I'm afraid if I don't lay out with the architecture I've come up with 2 hours before the interview, if I don't lay this roadmap out, we'll never get to the thing. There are times I have that panic.
Of course, and I know it's trickier with our experts, obviously, but it is like what we learned episode 6, which is don't be so married to the thing, because our best episodes are when we are not doing that. Different with experts, I will say, but I still think
we gotta we're talking about the work they've kind of.
We are talking to our audience.
Yeah, it's a tricky thing to navigate.
Yeah.
Like part of me, like Hillary Clinton, that's easy. We know and love Hillary Clinton. So if we hear about the fact that Bill won't get rid of his video collection, that to me is an awesome detour.
Yeah.
And I'm delighted to let it go and let the show be that.
Yeah.
But if like Jared Diamond's on and he proved how civilizations ended up being advantaged over others, I feel like my job's to lay that out, not let people know about Jared Diamond's wife's video collection. It feels different.
That's interesting because to me it doesn't. To me, like when people comment on like the Obama episode or something, they're excited about the stupid stuff, not the stuff that...
Definitely Obama and definitely Hillary Clinton, because you already know what they are.
Right.
It's like when Jared Diamond's on. I don't think the average person knows Jared Diamond or has read Guns, Germs, and Steel. And my hope is that we can distill that book into an episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I have that book in the trunk of my car right now. Funny enough, someone gave it to me yesterday or 2 days ago.
What?
At a soccer game.
Oh.
Really?
And said, "Have you ever read this?" And I said, no.
Wow.
And I thought in my head, I know you guys were talking about it, and I was like, yeah, this might be a toughie for me.
Yeah, it's a thick one.
Yeah.
Oh, that's Sim. Okay, so Aaron just arrived from his homeland.
Native land.
Native land.
Beverly Hills.
Beverly Hills.
Beverly Hills, Michigan.
Beverly Hills, Michigan this morning.
5-day trip.
Slept like a baby.
Went right to sleep on the plane in my pajamas.
So now, update. Aaron sleeps quiet as a church mouse with his apnea machine.
Right.
How do you think on the airplane you sound?
I'm assuming really loud, according to the people next to me.
Did anyone say like, "Oh, you're really"?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
No, but I felt it.
You felt judged when you woke up.
Yeah. The thing is about that machine, it doesn't cure you. You have to use it. And, when I decide not to, it's exactly like it was last year.
Oh my God. Will you tell really quick your decision to not take it a couple weekends ago? I never related more to a story.
Oh no.
Okay. Okay, I went on a weekend retreat, men's retreat, AA.
Right.
So it was a sober weekend in northern Michigan with 14 guys.
Wow.
Big, nice cabin on the river, the whole thing. So I had never done this.
Yeah.
And when I was asked to do it in the spring, I was like, when? September? Oh, yeah, count me in. And, just tell me when you need the money. And that's something I should do as a sober person. And then it crept up, and I was like, oh, fuck. I'm like, who's going? I don't know anybody except my one friend. And it turned out I did know some people, but I didn't want to go. I finally decided to go.
Wow. I'm proud of you. I'm impressed.
But when I was packing, Ruthie said, oh, aren't you going to pack your machine? And I said, no. Because I'm more than likely going to be turning right around. Oh. And I'm not going to stay.
You're going to make good on your commitment and then also not go.
Yeah, so I was like, I need an out, and I don't bring the machine.
Built-in out.
And I also turned down a ride.
Okay, smart. Yep.
Because
you don't want to be stuck.
No. Mm-hmm. And I didn't even want to go, let alone be stuck.
Yeah.
So I didn't bring the machine, and I was in a room with 3 of us, 3 guys and 3 little beds. My buddy has a machine.
What a middle-aged camping trip this is.
Yeah.
Everyone's got their machine.
Oh, the other half of the guys were on the floor 1 because they're so fucking old they couldn't get up the stairs.
Oh, wow.
So he had a machine. I admitted to what I was thinking. When I got there, I was like, listen, I'm going to be real honest. I had this feeling, and I'm really stubborn and really defiant. And I'm going to show you guys by not bringing my machine and driving by myself and, just in my own head.
But you admitted that out loud?
I did.
Wow.
This is the great dichotomy of Aaron Winkle.
This is impressive. I'm impressed.
Okay, so the third guy, neither of us had met. I told him, hey, buddy, I'm sorry, but I should have a machine too. And he's like, great. Great.
Understandably.
Sure. So the first night happened in the books, and I got up, and my friend said, well, I can tell you this. He listens to podcasts, so he said, Dax was right. You need a machine. And I think the other guy didn't get a wink of sleep that night.
God.
So I had to I went to the store and bought him some earplugs because I stayed the entire trip.
Wow.
Of course, so then he liked it, and then it wasn't everything you feared.
You had a great time.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Spiritual meetings. It was great.
Yeah.
I fought it.
Contrary action, they say. Doing things you don't think you should do. But I can so relate to packing, and not even as even a nice compromise would have been I'm going to bring the machine and say I didn't. Right? And, oh, shit, my wife told me she stuck it in there. There'll be all these ways for you to get out of it. But even in your mind, you're like, no, I'm not bringing this.
Nope.
Yeah.
And, Ruthie, she was like, do you not remember 6 months ago or whatever, however long it was? You might have a stroke in your sleep. That's how bad your apnea is.
Yeah.
So who are you doing this to?
She can make punishing all these people by killing yourself because they invited you on a trip.
Yeah.
That you were afraid you'd feel awkward at.
Yeah. So, I don't know if I have want to be a martyr. I don't know.
Well, I also get the feeling it's I can't stay the night. You're blocked yourself in. You're I don't want to go, and so I'm not going. And so I definitely am not going because I'm not bringing the machine. I guess, how far was it from the house?
It was 3.5 hour drive.
Okay. I was going to say maybe the next day, go get it.
Well, you would have had it Ubered like your bolo tie.
Yeah, you had stuff Uber like your Prada suspenders.
I should have. I ended up spending money because I left everything else there. I left Ruthie's new headphones under the bed. I left like 3. I only brought 4 things. I left 3 of them. And I had to have them send it back to me. So I did end up paying for a delivery back to my house.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I'm proud that you stayed. I'm sorry for that person because, lest we forget, I've experienced you without your machine.
Oh, yeah, in the camp.
In the RV.
Yeah.
That's a tough sitch.
And Monica's very protective of you and loves you.
So
and
much.
you even angered her. But I didn't think that could happen. But definitely you and Laura, when I woke up.
I felt a chill in the air that morning.
You didn't anger me, but I was upset. I couldn't believe what I had experienced. I couldn't believe it.
Some people, you just can't believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to kind of witness it. It's kind of like Eric's sneeze.
We
can talk about it forever, but you got to experience it.
Yes. Because I had headphones in with white noise and it didn't matter. And it was like, wait, how is this not mattering?
The reason it's impossible to ignore is that there's no pattern to it. And there's long periods of zero breathing. So you actually, as someone who loves Aaron,
scared.
You're considering waking up and starting mouth to mouth. Like a couple hundred times a night, you think, I got to go nudge him and see if I can get him started back up.
I think I actually, now that I think I do have a little PTSD because my dad snored or snores. I assume he still snores. So if we went on vacation.
Oh, this just happened. You guys went on a family vacation in New York 6 years ago, 5 years ago.
A long time ago at this point. But yeah, we went on a family. All of my life, we go on family vacations. We have one hotel room, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And so my mom and dad have a bed, and then me and my brother have a bed. And my dad would snore, and then, it would stop. And I would be like, he's dead.
Yep.
And I always thought my dad was dead. So, like, more reason to think he's dead. And so, anyway, yes, I think I just had a little PTSD.
Yes. So, back to the airplane today.
I guess you can't take it on a plane. It's too big, right?
No, I had it with me. You actually can, it's not even counted as carry-on because it's a medical device. So, yeah, I had it. I guess it's never occurred to me to fucking plug it in.
Oh, my God, that's so great.
Yeah.
You're like, the guy's like using it to charge his laptop to do his spreadsheets. And you're like, I'm so sorry. Can I take this power? I want to take a nap. I need
All the
this.
lights go out. Trip the breaker.
Oh, my God.
But we spent 2 weeks together in the motorhome, and I didn't hear him at all.
But you didn't hear him that night. So I have no trust in your ability to know the sound.
I had the machine in the motorhome.
You did, yeah. It was like a little church mouse with the other mice. In fact, the mice were louder than Aaron. That's when I heard him, is in the middle of the night.
Wow, yeah.
That is wild, because you're right. I can sleep through it for the most part. I just have been 30
Desensitized.
years of sleeping in the same room with them, and it's crazy, but I got there. The fact that I do have hearing good enough that I heard mice in the middle of the night.
That's incredible.
Tells me my hearing is good while I'm asleep.
Unless the mouse was right by your ear.
No, it was like, I think I told you this. I thought Aaron was up eating chips.
Right.
I was like, God damn it, he's gotten into the ruffles.
The mouse was eating the chips next to me. Not
Yeah.
even
Oh, it was by
close
you.
to Dax, no.
But you heard the bag crinkle.
I heard the bag being opened and crunchy crunch,
Yeah.
and I thought Aaron's tearing into those ruffles in the middle of the night.
stop.
We're gonna have to talk about that in the morning. Can't stop. Hungry.
So hungry.
Did you see how delicately Aaron was handling those mice on Instagram? When we caught them,
Of course.
yeah.
I thought it was so nice.
Yeah, the tender side of him. It's so
Yeah.
sweet.
All right. Well,
Oh, I know an update that I have to give.
okay.
Because Monday's episode, we came out that I had been in a motorcycle race, and I was just had the singular goal of not finishing last.
Yep.
And I achieved that goal.
Yes.
Yes. And I guess that's an update that's worth saying.
And did you have fun? That was the main
Had a
goal.
blast. I was telling Aaron about it today when we were working out. Got down there, and I missed the first practice. Anyways, we had two heats, and you got time to see if you'd make it to the main race. and we kept making it through our heats. The race was supposed to start at 1:40. They had been running late all day. So we got down to the track from the pits, which is a bit of a ride. So I had Kristen and Delta on my motorcycle. DeCastro had Lincoln on his motorcycle. We ride to the track. We're putting them over the fence so they can watch. It's 1:30. We're 10 minutes early. And we look, our race is happening.
Oh, God.
It's happening. There's like 10 different classes, and our class is racing. And I have this moment where I'm like, no, we've driven all the way to Huntington Beach. Now my family's here to watch, and there's the race. I'm not in it. That's it. So in a moment of panic, I just enter the track mid-race, and then by the blessings of Thor and Valhalla, there was a bad enough crash right as I entered that they had to do a total restart of the race. So then DeCastro followed me out. We got on the line. Everyone else had already had a lap, restarted the race, and we made it in time for the race. It was assholes and elbows. People were crashing left and right. And there were 17 of us, and we finished 6th and 7th. DeCastro beat me.
Great.
Yeah.
Sounds perfect.
Sounds like a perfect race.
Man.
I did see a little video.
Yeah. Kristen made fun of it pretty good. She already tell you about it?
She showed me the video.
Oh, yeah.
The video was cute, good. It just was fat. It was over
she also
fast.
missed a lot.
Okay.
So 2 things. She's right, and there's a lot of stuff missing from that video.
Okay.
She doesn't have my passes. I got 2 guys on one turn. It was so exciting.
Oh, yeah. No, I think she was more laughing at that it was very quick.
Yes, it was only 6 laps.
Right.
Yes, on a short track. So I was telling her this. Well, let's get to the meat of this. Because I was very quick to admit it to Aaron, so I should admit it to everyone. This is really parallels an experience. Oh, that's a ding, ding, ding. Bree, you met Bree.
Oh, we have to talk about
Yes.
that. But yeah.
Okay, so one time, after Bree hearing all these fight stories all these years, we were at a bar in Santa Monica, Dell's. It was New Year's Eve. These 2 gangbangers came in and literally picked a fight with 3 dudes who all backed down. Then they pushed Scotty at one point. Next thing you know, Scotty and I are in a fight with these 2 guys.
Yeah.
The fight, again, probably lasts 45 seconds. You know, in my mind, it was a 6-minute ordeal.
Okay.
It was probably 45 seconds. And you take that 45 seconds if you're a boy, and then you talk about it for 9 hours.
9 years.
Years, yeah. You're right, even better. Talking about it today.
Yep.
20 years ago. So we're at Scotty's house after the whole event, and we're by the campfire, and now everyone's talking about it. Dean was there, a buddy from Detroit. Everyone just every element of this scuffle is being retold. And Bree just ran, maybe because she was drunk, she just hit me with the truth. She's like, I don't know. I thought it'd look cooler.
Wait, she saw a video?
No,
she was there. She was watching me fight this guy.
Oh, I see.
And she's like, your arms are so long and he was far. I just thought it would look cooler. Like maybe, I don't know, like a movie or something. But it was so deflating. And I just, all of a sudden I could maybe see it from her point of view. And I'm like, I bet it didn't look that cool. Like in my mind, it looked like Rocky.
Yeah.
But she was like, yeah, it just didn't look that cool.
That's really funny.
It was a reality shattering.
To let
moment.
Kristen off she was not saying it wasn't cool.
No, I know. But so the race finishes and we're back in the pits. And mind you, now I have some self-awareness. So we get back to the pits and I notice Steve and I are on minute 7 of rehashing the race. Because this guy crashed in front of him, then 2 guys crashed in front of me, then I almost had, I passed those 2 guys. And all of a sudden I look at Kristen and I said, this is the debrief. This is the 5-second fight that you talk about for hours.
Right.
She goes, no, it was a great 30-second race.
She said, all of that happened, huh?
Wow. Lot to talk
She
about.
said it was a 30-second race. I was just like, oh my, it was so demoralizing.
That's for you guys. You did it in the video. The whole video.
Let it rip.
No.
Let it rip.
No, I was like, oh, cool. But it was like, it was
But she was stopping filming
50
between laps
seconds.
for some reason.
Right, sure.
Yeah.
Well, probably to conserve.
Yeah, because it wasn't worth the footage.
Well, she stopped between laps. No, she got you doing your laps.
A few.
Okay,
Yeah.
a few.
She didn't get them all, and she missed the passes.
Okay. And then, but
Some of the more spectacular crashes.
okay, I believe that happened. And then, but in the video, Delta, you just see her turn around to the camera. She's like, "Where's Dad?" And like you had just oh.
I wish they hadn't come soon as they were in position. I was
Why?
like,
It's
this isn't worth
fun.
them having come down for this. I regretted it. And then she hit me with it was 30 seconds.
Well, I guess, you know what I don't like about this? Last fact check, I was like, I wish I was invited to this. Like, you should have invited me. I want to be invited. And now you're definitely not going to invite me to anything.
Well, I told you, this is exactly why I don't want anyone to see anything I do. So, yeah, it would have been better for me that just no one saw it. And it could have been my own experience. And no one was reminding me it was 30 seconds. And it would have been.
But you knew it was going to be fat. Like, it's not like you were like,
I had no
fuck.
idea what it was, Monica. I got there and I was like, what are we doing?
Tell her about the guy who was ex-champion that raced in yours.
Okay,
then.
yes. So Robbie Maddow, he's the Jordan of cool motorcycle stuff. He's the one who rode his motorcycle on the ocean.
Ooh.
He rode it at the Olympic Park and jumped it down ski. He makes these incredible Red Bull videos. They're insane. He's a legend. He was in the class before us. One of the best motorcycle riders in the world. It's the practice. And he goes into turn one, some guy comes flying into him and smashes into his hand. And when he came back into the pits, his fucking finger was almost torn off. And he goes, this is the worst injury I've gotten riding a motorcycle in a decade. It was this stupid flat track race that's 30 seconds long.
Oh my God. Well, I'm glad you made it.
I was just delighted I didn't go down.
Yeah.
Half the people in this race crashed.
Ooh.
Yeah. I will say this. I wanted 100 more laps. Like, I was just finding my rhythm on lap 6. I was like getting the feel of the track, and I had passed a couple guys, and I'm like, you give me 100 more laps, I'm going to be up there. I'm going to at least get to Castro.
Okay.
Didn't get those laps.
You didn't have enough time.
Just didn't have enough time to settle in.
You only had 30 seconds.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Okay, now Bree.
Bree. Yes, I met Bree.
What?
Yes.
Never had met her. I get a
never met her.
text from Bree yesterday saying, I'm at Houston's and I see Monica.
Oh.
Yeah, and then Dax texted me, Bree's gonna come say hi. And I said, what are you talking about? I'm at Houston's.
Yeah, you're assuming I don't even know where you're at.
Yeah.
But I know everything.
Yeah, you knew you have eyes everywhere.
That's right. Don't ever think you can double cross me because I know what's going
But
on.
no, she was at Houston's. I was at Houston's, and she came and said hi.
Fantastic.
I know, introduced herself. She was so sweet. I was so nervous to meet her.
Wow.
And she was nervous to meet you, which is adorable.
Does Bree live in L.A.?
She lives in Pasadena.
She does. Okay.
Right by that Houston's.
You take a
I put olive oil in my coffee. I'm always trying to get people to try it. And I just had a huge sip of my very sharp olive oil. And now, I don't know what happened.
And now you're crying.
Now I'm fucked up. Okay, so she came up to the table.
Take of real water.
Okay. We are supported by Auto Trader. All right, if you've been putting off car shopping because it sounds like a whole thing, buying your car online on Auto Trader makes it way easier, really. You can shop tons of cars online, compare prices, check financing and trade-in options, all from wherever you are. And if you want to start online and go to the dealership for a test drive, you can do that too, really. What I like is the flexibility. Start online, finish at the dealer, or the other way around. Your info stays with you, so you're not starting the process from scratch. Plus, you're working with local dealer listings, so you've got real people helping behind the scenes. And when you're ready, you can pick up your car or have it delivered. Really. Buy your car online on Auto Trader. Really. Oh boy.
Oh,
okay, I'm back.
Oof, you're back. That was scary. That got scary for me.
Okay, were you eating by yourself?
Okay, I was eating by myself.
Okay.
Sometimes I go to see Jess on Sundays. Sunday is tomato soup and grilled cheese day at Houston's. Very limited edition, very special day. So I'll go and sit in Jess's section by myself. And so that is what I was doing. But I was really nervous. And I was like, I didn't dress right.
Oh, okay.
I didn't dress appropriately.
Did you get insecure that you were by yourself?
I did a little bit after, but I didn't have time. You know,
Okay,
it was
yeah.
all happening so fast.
Yeah, you got a
texted
text,
me
and also she was right at the table.
Oh my God. And she looked so cute. She was dressed for an appearance. And
For a meet cute.
yeah. And we hugged and then
Oh, you started right with a hug.
yeah.
Good. I like
Was that too strong?
I love that.
Okay.
That's what I would want for both of you because I like you guys so much.
I mean, I feel like I know her so well, which is crazy.
And she probably knows you much better than you would imagine.
I assume she feels somewhat similar to that. But anyway, I felt like I was meeting a movie star. And
And she did too. She said those exact words.
we talked for a second and then she just like,
What'd you
you're
talk
doing
about?
great.
You know Dax.
No, I said, oh, Dax just told me you were going to come by. And she said, oh, good. And then I think I
All
said,
right, then.
Do you want to go on a men's AA camping trip in 10 months? Sure.
no. I think I said, oh, do you live in the neighborhood? And she said, yeah.
Nice.
She said, where do you live? And I answered, but she didn't hear me. I hate when that happens. And I had to repeat it. And then we talked about Houston's, and then she
Jess
said,
probably.
yeah, she said, yeah, I love it here, and I love Jess, and talked a little bit more about the experience. And then she was like, have a good meal or whatever. And she started walking off, and then her and Jess saw each other. And then
Hug.
hug,
Yeah.
chat. But then I did get a little nervous because Jess was like,
I liked her more.
probably, I'm sure he does. No, he was clearing the table next to mine, and he was going to try to get Brie
that would've been-
quickly.
Oh.
He wanted to
But
help
she wasn't
her.
already seated.
No.
Oh, okay. That's a totally different dynamic than she was mid-meal and came over to
I
say
think
hi.
she was waiting. She was waiting for a
okay.
seat.
I would have not wanted to sit next to her.
Well, right. So
Yeah,
then Jess was starting to clean it, and he was like, is it weird? I said no. I was like, no, get her, seat
Sure.
her. But then as soon as I said that, I was like, no, I don't want that to
You know, you have to
happen.
keep like making eye contact and smiling and waving, but not joining each other. That
And
would have
then
been
I
brutal.
really felt by myself. Because I was like,
Yeah.
oh, fuck. I'm sitting by myself. And if she sits next to me, then it's... Because if I have a friend, I can just talk to my friend.
That's right.
But I didn't have a friend.
No, it could have been really awkward.
But it also would have been fine.
It would have been
She's
fine, but it would have been I would have if I'm me. Oh my God, yes, I love that. Yes, oh, he speaks so high of you. Okay, great, enjoy your meal. And then I see them for the next hour 1 foot away from me. Oh my God.
Yeah,
You'd have to, well, then I'd say, well, don't ever look up at that table because you don't want to make eye
I
contact.
wouldn't. I would just be on my phone the whole
And then
time.
I'd be insecure the whole time. Like, they're thinking, what is he looking at? If they glance over, I'm just staring at my
Phone.
plate, I guess.
No, phone. This is why we have phones now. You can always be looking at your phone. Anywho, that didn't work out. She sat somewhere else.
Okay, by the grace of God.
No, it was really nice to meet her. And then on the way out, she came and they said bye. And I met her husband and her children.
Oh, good.
Whole
She was
family
there with the whole
there.
gang.
Yeah, it was really cute.
Did you see her little girl, Mazzy?
I
She's
saw the girl and the boy.
Yeah.
They were really cute.
I like the little girl because she's got the same ears that stick out like Brie.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah. So then you text me, oh my God, she's so pretty. And I felt like she was a celebrity. And then so I immediately sent that to Brie. I knew it would make her feel really happy because I want her to feel happy. And she wrote back, oh my God, I just said the identical thing to Jess. And she was nervous that she was meeting a celebrity. I thought this was so sweet on both ends.
Anywho, it was really nice to meet her. I should have told her that she was built like a brick shit house.
How about this? Even better compliment than built like a brick shit house is the time she
She had
and I,
all the right stuff.
all the right shit.
Shit.
You remember that story, Aaron? She and I were tubing on the San Marcos River.
Oh, I
in
do.
Austin,
Yeah.
And this awesome hillbilly came. He's like
Yep.
coming off the bridge, has a cigarette out of his mouth, cut off jean shorts. And he saw that I was with her, so it's not like he was hitting on her. And he
Yeah.
just goes, damn, girl, you got all the right
Oh,
shit.
yeah.
She said, I like that.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I felt like I time traveled or something
Yes.
because I met this person from your life.
You know so much about her.
So I know so much about her from you. And she's a real person in this world who goes to Houston.
yeah.
When you sent the text that she was going to come say hi, I was like, but that's Beyonce. Like, Beyonce isn't real.
Right.
She's
right.
just like a person people talk about, but she's not real. Then also I was like sad.
Yeah.
Like,
That we didn't make it.
Well, kind of. Like, it made me sad that, like, you can have this intense, very deep, meaningful relationship with a person, and then now they're at dinner with their husband and 2 children, and it's just like, life is sad, kind of.
I don't know. It's also beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, she and I had some life together in Santa Monica.
Yeah, I know.
And now she has this beautiful life with Brad and her beautiful kids. This is fun for the listener.
Yeah.
I don't know if we've ever said this.
Oh, you should say this.
This
yeah.
is incredible. At some point, we hang out with Bree and I don't know how this all becomes unveiled, but the point is Kristen had met Bree, like, I think one time that Kristen came over, like, we first started dating. My mom was in town, so Bree was visiting to hang with my mom.
Yeah.
And she came over and we all, like, ate dinner together. And then Bree left and she was like, not conventional to have dinner with your ex-girlfriend on, like, a 8th date, you know? And I was like, yeah, I guess, yeah. But now she's just a good friend of mine, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Anyways, her husband, Brad, who I've talked about, he's a genius. Brad Winterbaum. He is a motherfucker at Marvel. He's a creative genius.
He seemed cool.
He's
I
super
liked him.
cool. I love Brad. Kristen went on a fucking date with Brad in New York City when she went to NYU. Like, she was like, wait, Bree's new boyfriend is who? Oh, Brad Winterbaum. Oh my God, I know. I went on a date with, I was like, what are the odds of this?
So crazy.
No
they
way.
they also said it immediately also then. So they like that.
Twisty, what could be more
curvy,
fun?
swervy.
Yeah.
It is really fun.
Unfortunately, they didn't bang. That would be much better for them.
Well,
Be more tit for tat, I
Right.
guess.
Everyone's banged everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone here is fucked, so let's just get on with it.
that's true.
I like when I realize that in a room.
In our friendship group, that was just a
Oh,
given.
right.
Wow.
I don't think anyone had not slept with anyone in our core group.
You're right. It is beautiful, but it's sad and beautiful. I guess that's
Bittersweet.
what life is all about.
Bittersweet. But what's beautiful and neat about it is, in so many ways, life is short, but also life's long.
You can have a lot of lives.
And you can have, like, beautiful chapters in
Yeah.
your life. And because they end don't mean they weren't worth your time
Yes.
or beautiful or
Yes,
memorable and
exactly.
meaningful. And yet there's other chapters.
Yeah, exactly.
Well said.
Do you ever think that, Aaron?
I do.
I don't want to put you in a position, but I know this just happened. Like, Aaron was just at his kid's soccer game and he's with his ex-wife. And it's just harmony, right? It's just like, you're looking at this beautiful boy you guys created.
yeah.
He's such a sweetie pie, and he's huge and gorgeous, and he's an athlete, and they're sitting there in harmony, right?
Yeah. And it's taken a while to think like that, but I definitely do. And I think there's chapters that are definitely worth it. I think if people can be grown up about it.
It feels dishonorable to pretend. That's the thing for me is like, how could you have spent a decade with Adrian and pretend you didn't? But Aaron and I have this in common. You're friends with all of your exes.
Yeah. Even the shorter relationships. I know that you and I had a lot of when we were younger that we continue to be friends.
Oh, yeah.
That's nice. Anyway,
There you
okay, well, that was really a fun Sunday for me to get to
Yeah.
meet Bree, a celebrity. I got to meet a celebrity yesterday. So I met a lot of your ex-girlfriends. So there's one left that you are refusing to.
Well, there's more than one left.
Oh, there's one
but
left that
there's
I
one
care about.
you care about. Yeah.
I'd like to meet Carrie.
Oh, you'd love Carrie.
Yeah.
She's wild.
Yeah. Gotta meet
But I
Carrie.
really-
And Trishy. Do you want to meet Trishy?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Let's bring Trishy into the mix.
Did you see the
Bundle.
picture I posted of
I
Carrie
did.
and
It's
Trishy?
so cute. Oh my God.
Well, part of it for me is, because I'm just like jealous a lot.
Yeah,
Of everything. Sometimes I have this with people in my life where I'm like, it's a little uncomfortable that somebody knew you when I didn't know you.
Uh-huh.
I have this with a lot of people.
Right.
And of course, that's just how life goes. It's normal. But it's weird. It's weird when you think you know someone so well and then you realize, oh my God, they had a huge whole life. I mean, I met you and you're older than me. Had to say that. But really, like,
Yeah, when I was already 40.
no, were you 40?
39.
You were,
On the verge.
yeah,
Because
you were on the verge, yeah.
Delta was born when I was 1 week before my 40th birthday, I guess.
Yeah, and I was doing some light sitting for Lincoln before that.
Yeah,
Anyway.
a little bit. In it.
Yeah, still older than me though. So a whole life.
Yeah.
I get that.
I was thinking about this a lot the other day in reference to something else we've been chatting about. I guess like the thing occurred to me that just I think fundamentally you and I have a different perspective on is you have kind of a zero-sum view of things, and I kind of have an infinite view of things. So it's like if someone's attention goes to someone else, that's attention you're not getting, or focus you're not getting, or
Well, sometimes
love.
that's real, especially with attention. Love, I think you're right, is more amorphous, but
Yeah. I mean, if it was really like, if you could say it was black and white, like, I want plans with you on Thursday. No, I'm picking to go out with Joe.
sorry, Rob. Did that trigger you about the David thing?
Well,
We have some internal conflict, Aaron.
Is that what's going on?
Yeah.
Rob wasn't invited
with
to one
Farrier?
thing.
Yeah.
And but it turns out everyone wants Farrier's attention. God bless him.
I know. I just started wanting it. We've never met in person, but I think about him often.
Get in line, Aaron. It's a long ass line.
Right.
So I guess if I had that experience where it's like I wanted to hang with someone and I couldn't because that person chose to hang with someone else, I could understand that.
Yeah.
That just hasn't been in practice my experience in life.
Yeah.
I also think like my formative friendships, like Aaron and I were best friends with Jack. Like all three of us were best friends. It never occurred to me like if Aaron was spending the night at Jack's and I wasn't, it just started out as a sharing best friendship. Aaron and I were best friends, and Aaron and Dean and I were,
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a lot of.
Yeah,
Had
it's
a lot
always
to
like
share.
you and I and some other folks. We kept
Right, but you probably feel safe because it's always you two, and then there's a third coming in and out at all times.
Well, this sounds like I'll be patting myself on the back, but because a lot of these friends I introduced Aaron to. So like I introduced Aaron to my friend Kurt. He and Kurt moved to fucking Georgia together. Like I didn't live
next
with
day.
Aaron. He didn't come to live in California with me.
Yeah.
But I genuinely was like, I'm so glad Aaron's having fun with Kurt and he's
Right.
not alone. Like I just was like, well, Aaron and I have a cellular love for each other, and
Yeah.
I'm not worried. Have
Yeah,
you ever been
that's
jealous
true.
of any of my friends?
I was just trying to I think I'd be lying if I said I wasn't, not when we were young, but later in life. Yeah, I think maybe once in a while when I'd come out here, I knew you had been having so much fun with like Nate Tuck, and I was in a funk in my life. And I think those were maybe sometimes I felt
Sure.
a little jealousy.
Yeah. That makes sense.
It makes
Especially
sense.
if you're observing me have something with someone that's similar to what you and I have when we're in business.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
And I'd say Nate is the person that I was most in business with.
right.
Nate and Scotty were the only two people that I ever felt like that in business with.
Yeah, and I am 100% on board with Nate and Scotty, and you being in business with them.
No, but it's human. I guess that's what, like, because sometimes I think I like that you're saying that, Aaron. One, it's very vulnerable. And two, I think it's more common to be on this side of those feelings than on your side of them. I mean, yours is very commendable, but you really are working against some vestigial
Some natural, primitive,
Yeah.
primal humans.
security stuff.
I'm not complimenting myself. I'm not working at this.
No,
I
I'm
just happen to
complimenting.
be wired
Yeah.
this way.
I know. I'm happy when you guys are on your road trips.
You are. Okay.
Yeah. But sometimes I want to join for a little bit.
Sure.
But-
Till the snoring
For like a
starts.
day,
Till
yeah.
the machine breaks.
Yeah, exactly. Just for like a day. Okay, we didn't do any facts, but there aren't that many because he knows
Is
stuff.
beyond reproach.
Exactly. The only thing I will correct is, so you referenced the George Monbiot episode, and you said that there's 20,000 kinds of,
Fungi, phyla.
right. I went back and listened. Hard to find the exact moment, but
God
I
bless
did
you.
it. I
Wow.
did it.
That was laborious, I'm sure.
It kind of was.
Yeah.
But I found it. 1,000 phyla, major groups of bacteria in the world.
Okay.
And then all human gut are in 4 phyla. And those are the same 4 phyla
That are on the roots.
in the rhizosphere of the soil.
Yeah.
So 1,000 versus 20.
Not bad. 20x error.
Yeah,
20x
not bad.
error.
Not bad. And then I guess I just thought it was interesting. I didn't realize how rare spleen cancer, like how rarely it metastasizes in the spleen.
Very interesting,
I didn't
right?
know
Like
that.
all the secrets must lie within the spleen. Do you know this, Aaron?
Yes.
The spleen and the liver are identical in shape, yet the liver gets cancer all the time, and
No.
the spleen won't get it
Almost
virtually.
never gets like
You've
metastasis.
never heard of-
Yeah.
As it's traveling all through the body, the spleen is like, no, you can't stop here.
Well, it can happen, but it's so rare. So it's 2% of all lymphomas. But comparatively, it's very hard to metastasize in there. They don't know why.
It's a very encouraging thing to know.
I think so.
Yeah, because you think if you could recreate the microbiome or whatever, the microcosm,
The cell.
whatever's happening
structure.
in that spleen, if you could recreate it in other organs, it'd be nearly impervious to cancer.
I know.
Or can you just pull the cancerous cells out of everywhere else in your body and put it into your
To get it munched up
Ew.
like a garbage disposal.
Munched up. Yeah, that would also be good if it detected any abnormalities to send. I mean, that's what the
Route
immune
it.
system's supposed to do, and then it just gets thwarted.
It gets thwarted. It's a great word.
All right.
thwarted.
Well, we
those
love-
were the only two things.
Well, there was one more, but it was or like two
whatever.
more. But one was that you said that psychedelics and ecstasy are prevalent in Kerala. But were you just saying that?
I was not saying that.
Okay.
I had a friend who relapsed, and it was on a spiritual sojourn to Kerala.
Oh.
And they told me, well, you know, everything is available there everywhere, and it's
In
all
India or
very
just-
high grade, just in Kerala.
Really?
Yes, and that it's very, because it's a big meditation retreat area, I think. It's a pocket of like where people go to take retreats, I think. This person was like, it started with, you know, kind of a TM-ish trip, and then it was, oh, this is all available. Oh, psilocybin, that seems medicinal and great. And then it
What it
was
turned into.
everything.
Yeah, of
When he
course.
came home, he was
boy.
drinking again.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sucks. All right.
But
well,
according to him, that's one human's account of what he found.
Yeah.
Whatever. I don't know. I'd certainly like to go find out. Double check, cross those T's and dot those I's.
yeah.
Just ask some people.
For science.
I can't get ecstasy from you, right? This isn't prevalent here, is it? You don't have Molly, do you?
You're not allowed. I'm going to tell them. Those are my people.
See, if you see a big honky,
Don't you
too many
dare.
tattoos, you'll see him.
Oh, you'll
He'll
see
be
'em.
bragging about a 30-second race he just finished 7th in. He'll talk to you for an
Seventh is
hour about it.
good. Seventh is
Yeah,
good.
listen, it's way above what I was expecting.
Yeah. It's great.
All right.
All right.
I love
that's
you. I
it.
love
you
Aaron.
guys.
Yeah, guys.
Order a cameo from Aaron, as you heard. He'll be fucked up over it if he doesn't send you
He
a good
cares
one.
so much
He
that he
does.
thinks about it days after.
That says a lot.
It really does.
I'm glad you feel that way about it, to be honest.
I'm glad that you're glad because I was embarrassed to say it.
No, it's
No.
sweet.
Anything you do, you should fucking care about doing it or don't
Yeah,
do it.
I agree.
Right.
I agree.
All right.
All right. Love you guys.
Love you.
Bye-bye.
We are supported by Allstate. Checking Allstate first could save you hundreds on car insurance. Not checking that your keys are actually in your hand before you close the car door. Have you ever stood in a parking lot full of sun staring at your keys sitting right there on the seat 4 inches away and completely useless to you? It's a very specific kind of humbling. Yeah. Checking first is a good idea. So check Allstate first for an auto quote. It could save you hundreds. And for fast, reliable help when you need it, add an Allstate roadside plan today. You're in good hands with Allstate. Potential savings vary. Insurance and roadside assistance plans are subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Insurance provided by Allstate North American Insurance Company, Northbrook, Illinois. Roadside assistance plans provided by Allstate Motor Club, Incorporated, an Allstate affiliate.